Hey, May 2nd, Dodger fans. Hope everyone's having a great day. It's an off day for your Los Angeles Dodgers as they're currently 20-13 to begin this young 2024 season. Kevin Klein here. I'm flying solo tonight as everyone else is busy with other things. It's Jake Reiner's birthday. If you want to wish him a happy birthday, go ahead and do so yourself. Hit him up on his Instagram or Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Comment in the chat below. But yeah, we're going to have a fun show. Feel free to comment along in the chat. We'll make this interactive for the next 45 minutes to an hour, give or take. What's up, Trey B? Thank you for joining along. I'm happy with the Dodgers. They had a fantastic road trip after kind of an abysmal homestand. They were looked lackadaisical, excuse me. They got out on the road, headed to Washington, D.C. And then they played Toronto and then Arizona. They crushed all three teams in that series, ended up going 7-2. Everything was clicking on all cylinders. I mean, Will Smith was on fire. We'll talk about him more. Andy Pages has just been incredible as a rookie for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And the pitching, more so the starting staff, appears to have figured it out as they're building a lot of momentum. To recap this Diamondback series real quick, the Dodgers did take 2 of 3. So a little bit of revenge in that NLDS series where the Diamondbacks, of course, swept the Dodgers. So Dodgers made a statement. They pretty much crushed them in the finale on May 1st. No Ohtani, no problem. The Dodgers just destroyed Arizona. I believe they won 8-0. They crushed Jordan Montgomery, a big signing for the D-backs, big $25 million on a one-year deal. And of course, Montgomery led the Texas Rangers to the World Series. So the Dodgers, this narrative that they can't hit lefties, well, so far they've looked pretty good against left-handed pitching early on in the year 2024. And there's a variety of reasons why. I mean, Mookie Betts is crushing it. Will Smith is killing lefties. Teoscar Hernandez has been a big boost to the Dodgers this season. And Miguel Rojas. More on Rojas in a little bit, but Rojas is rejuvenating his career and has been a nice bench piece for the Dodgers, as well as Kike Hernandez, who is beginning to turn it on as well. Let me get to CB's question in just a couple of seconds, but I wanted to just talk about, so the Dodgers destroyed Jordan Montgomery. Andy Pages is continuing to just to deliver for the Dodgers as a young rookie. I mean, he's only 23, and here he is handling center field, playing elite defense out there. You can put him in center. You can put him in right. You can put him even in left, and he's delivering in all aspects of that outfield. He has the arm, he has the range, and he has the speed. And even though he's a rookie out there, you feel very confident right now with him defensively. So speaking for myself, I've been really impressed, and he's coming for Outman's job, it looks like, in center field, because it's pretty clear as day that Outman's not going to play against lefties. There's a few guys that they just refuse to start against left-handed pitching for whatever reason. And meanwhile, Andy Pages hasn't missed a game since being called up, whether it's against right-handed starters and, of course, left-handed starters, because he's a right-handed bat. He's been in there every day, and he is making a name for himself. Early on, he's hitting .291 with 3 home runs, 10 RBIs, and 140 WRC plus. He's a positive .6 WAR player as well this early on in his career. And there's absolutely no way the Dodgers can send him down at any point, given that his production has just been an impact since being called up. This guy, for what I'm seeing right now, is giving me shades of Yasiel Puig in 2013, where the Dodgers needed a big catalyst, a big shot in the arm, someone that's providing a big spark. And before Pages was called up, the bottom of the lineup was just dead, automatic outs, Taylor useless, Outman in a slump, Hayward limited production on the IL, Gavin Lux in a horrible funk, and then they call up Pages, and he's been a big boost to the bottom of the Dodgers order. And ever since they've added Pages in the lineup, you can tell that the Dodgers' run production is skyrocketing. So didn't expect them to call him up this early on in the season, But boy, I'm glad they did it, because we talked about Pages a lot in this offseason. And one of the narratives and predictions we were trying to push is that you got to call this guy up when you feel he's ready, because he's going to be a big boost to the Dodgers offense. And he is delivering right now. He is living up to all the hype. So, all things considered, I don't think Pages is going to ever fall into a big slump. If he does, we'll reevaluate the situation. But on the current trajectory that he's providing for the Dodgers, no way in hell you can send him down. When Jason Hayward is ready to be activated, whatever that is, you're going to have to find someone else to send down if Pages is continuing the production he's providing right now. I don't know if that means you got a phantom IL stint Chris Taylor, who's been terrible, not even hitting 100, or if Outman continues to struggle, you may have to evaluate that situation and option him down to Oklahoma City, which I wouldn't like, but you have to create a roster spot for Pages. You can't send him down. That would push this Dodgers team way backwards. It would be a huge mistake, and there's no reason to keep him out of the lineup. It's not like he's a pitcher. And I absolutely agree with Noisy Ninja 91. Thank you for bringing that up. His at-bats have been incredible. He went from a guy that was swinging at everything early on in his very early Dodgers career. Now you look at him, the eye is there, far more improved plate discipline. He is working pitchers counts like crazy. He'll be down 0-2, 1-2 in the count. Next thing you know, he's taking pitchers to a full count, and he's fouling off pitches. We saw him work that 13 pitch at bat in this series against Arizona. He had counts 7 through 9 pitches, and he is wearing down pitchers. And that's absolutely what you love to see from guys at the bottom of the Dodgers lineup. If he keeps it up, he's probably going to be the 6-hole hitter pretty consistently. So we'll see what happens. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Like I said early on, as people start to arrive in, feel free to ask me anything. We're going to make this interactive this evening. If you have topics you want me to cover, if you have things you want me to read, I'm an open book. You can ask me anything. We can get crazy here. Let's make it fun. So we got CB commenting. There seems to be a lot of pushback on the Landon Knack move from fans. What move? I cannot talk. What moves would you have made? Okay, so first of all, I don't know why anyone is overreacting to the Dodgers optioning Landon Knack down to Oklahoma City. This was always going to happen the moment Walker Buehler was ready to be activated. So newsflash, if you aren't aware, Walker Buehler is going to be activated off the injured list and make his Dodgers 2024 debut on Monday, which I think is May 6th, whatever that is, that Monday against the Miami Marlins. That will be his first start up at the major league level. He hasn't pitched professionally since I think June of 2022. So let's just say he's been out for 2 years. We all know that the Dodgers held Walker Buehler back. I think there's reasons that they didn't tell us, but at the same time, they wanted to limit his innings. His rehabilitation process, I felt, took a little longer than I had anticipated. I think they said 3 to 4 starts was what they were hoping for. Ended up being 5, I believe. But yeah, so Walker Buehler's coming back. That's why Landon Knack was sent down. They're not going to go with a 6-man rotation right now, especially given the circumstances going on in the Dodgers bullpen. So that's the other reason Landon Knack got optioned down, because Walker Buehler's taking his place in the rotation. Even though Knack did a tremendous job, first 3 starts, he did good. He kept the Dodgers in a position to win all those games. So kudos to him. Great major league experience. Nothing negative to say about the guy. He looked awesome overall. They needed depth in the bullpen. And so they probably evaluated which guys were most fresh. And I'm sure JP Fireeisen fit that mold. So they activated him because this Dodgers bullpen is getting crippled and shortened, decimated by the day. The night before, Joe Kelly had tweaked something in his groin, and he's day-to-day. They're still trying to evaluate whether Joe Kelly can come back in a few days, or they might have to send him to the injured list. And then Ryan Brazier went down. He's going to be out a while. I would not be surprised if he gets moved to the 60-day IL. I guess he hurt his calf warming up. Such a Dodgers thing to happen. Didn't even happen in a game, but he was worn up, injured his calf, and now he's on the IL. So This seems to happen with a Dodgers reliever every year. Something stupid just has to happen, and then they miss significant time. Kyle Hurt, he's on the 60-day IL as well. The night before, Nabil Crismatt had pitched 2 innings, and in that second inning, he gave up a walk-off bomb to Christian Walker in extra innings. So more thoughts on that in a second. So the Dodgers were shorthanded with the amount of relievers that they had available. They needed to call a guy up. It's plain and simple. You need a stopgap in the meantime. I mean, if you're not going to pitch Landon Knack for 4 or 5 days anyways, then why wouldn't you add a reliever to the bullpen, a fresh arm? So common sense there, in my opinion. What's up, Daniel Barry Sports Highlight? What's up, Carlos Gomez? What's up, Dennis Gonzalez? Yeah, I mean, that Rojas extension appears to be working out now for the Dodgers. I kind of laughed at it when they initially gave it to him. It looked like a bad move. He was pretty disappointing in 2023, but the extension is working out brilliant now, and Rojas is one of the Dodgers' best bench players. So good observation there by Dennis Gonzalez. What's up, IV? He's starting to forget Lux is even on the team. I mean, yeah, we have not seen a lot of Gavin Lux recently. All right. So back to where I was going here. So we won the last game of the series against the Diamondbacks. The night before, the Dodgers offense was just atrocious with runners in scoring position. I mean, they had a numerous amount of opportunities to drive in runners. Ohtani was bad, struck out 3 times. I think that's what also led to the off day. Nobody was driving in runs. They ended up losing 3-4. They took the lead for once in extra innings, but it didn't end up mattering because Nabil Crismatt served up a meatball to Christian Walker for a 2-run walk-off home run. But what really kind of infuriates me about that game, not even so much that they sucked with the runners on base and the scoring opportunities, but the fact that we had burned Evan Phillips the night before in a meaningless non-save situation. I believe the Dodgers were up 8-4 in the first game of the series. You throw out Evan Phillips, which is a head scratcher in my opinion. Like, why are we using him in a non-save situation? Because we always know this is going to happen when you burn Evan Phillips the night before, when you don't need him. And then the second day, when you actually do need Evan Phillips, you freaking don't have him available. You got to throw some scrub out there like Nabil Crismatt. And of course he blows it. Fortunately, the Dodgers are going to be in a luxurious position, at least I hope, where a ton of these regular season games aren't going to matter because looking around the rest of the NL West right now, none of these teams are really any good. It's almost like last year. The Giants are mediocre. The Diamondbacks are getting hit with injuries. Quit and Merrill Kelly are on the 60-day IL. Corbin Carroll has just looked like a dead animal on the road all season long. I mean, his stats are just shocking how bad he is. And he looked pretty bad defensively in center field too. There were a couple balls that he was trying to run down, and he looked like Gavin Lux trying to play center field. I was kind of embarrassed for the guy. Corbin Carroll, I don't know what happened to him. I never believed in sophomore slumps, but now I'm starting to believe in it because of Corbin Carroll. So the Diamondbacks don't look that good. The Padres are really inconsistent as well. Some nights they're on, some nights they're completely off, and then the Rockies kind of just exist. So if you guys want to do me a favor real quick, go ahead and hit that like button. If you're not subscribing, please hit the subscribe button as well. I would really appreciate it. But more so, my final thoughts on that Diamondback series. We took care of business. We even had a B delay, which kind of, I think, threw things off a little for the Dodgers as well. Just weren't right in rhythm. Shout out to the Beekeeper. That was his night. He looked like a star out there throughout the first pitch. So I'm just glad this series is done. Coming up next for the Dodgers, we're going to talk about that Atlanta Braves series in a little bit, but that'll be a big test for Los Angeles. But more so, I'm giving some shout outs right now. Will Smith, without a doubt, this is the best start I've seen in his Dodgers career. He's got 3 home runs in his last 5 games, 781 slugging percentage over a 7-game sample size, his last 7, 4 home runs now, 24 RBIs, hitting 355 with a 950 OPS. I don't know when the All-Star voting begins, but Will Smith has my vote for the National League All-Star starting catcher. He has been tremendous in the cleanup role. He is getting it done. those 24 RBIs that I just mentioned. They gave him the 10-year extension, and all he's done is reward the Dodgers. He is locked in. There's been a ton of comparisons with Will Smith and Mike Piazza in the past. And this is finally the first time where I'm like, okay, I see it. Will Smith looks like Mike Piazza in the Dodgers lineup. And I do see some concerns from Ivy about him potentially fizzling out. Well, I think the Dodgers so far are doing a pretty good job of limiting his workload. Austin Barnes is getting some reps in there at catcher, and it seems to be like on getaway days, Austin Barnes is the one catching. And with Ohtani getting the day off, we were able to see Will Smith be the designated hitter, which is something I'd actually like to see the Dodgers try to incorporate Will Smith. It's not going to happen this season because he didn't work out in the following position I'm going to throw out. But I would like to see Will Smith start to learn some third base. If there was a way for Smith to cut down his appearances behind the plate so that we can just get that bat in the Dodgers lineup more frequently, I would love a hybrid catcher third baseman. There are not too many of those guys that exist, but I really do think it would benefit Will Smith big time to not be catching every day, because it definitely does wear you down. There's no doubt about it. The catcher position is hard. But if Will Smith could get in the infield somehow, it's not going to be first base because you got Freddie Freeman. It's hard to get him in there at DH because of Shohei Ohtani. So third base is kind of the path. And with Max Muncy being in a platoon role, this would have been an awesome opportunity, but it's not going to happen. So, all right, we'll get to those comments in a little bit as I continue on. Mookie Betts. Let's talk Mookie Betts. Another guy, in my opinion, off to the best start of his career in a Dodgers uniform. In Boston 2018, that was probably the best you'll ever see of Mookie Betts. But so far in Dodger Blue, 2024 Mookie Betts is on a whole nother level. And there's been some awesome articles that have come out in the last few days talking about Mookie Betts' mindset, Mookie Betts' mentality heading into this season. There's those haters out there, for whatever reason, that think Mookie Betts only cares about bowling. But no, Mookie Betts takes this game damn seriously. And let me throw some stats out for you. 377 is what Mookie Betts is batting, which is near the tops, if not the top, in the National League. He's got a 481 on base, which basically means he's getting on base half the time. And he has a 623 slugging with 6 home runs, 25 RBIs, and 29 runs. Only this early on in the season, like the pace that Mookie Betts is going on is insane. Highly unlikely he's able to keep up this production. I mean, he's got a 2.9 WAR, which of course is killing it across the board in the WAR stat. No one's even close to him right now. If I did the math in my head real quick, I don't know. It seems like Mookie Betts is on pace for like a 15 WAR, which I don't think I've ever seen that before. Eventually, there's going to be some regression that just comes his way. That's just how baseball works. But if the Dodgers get this form of Mookie Betts in late September and the postseason, nothing is stopping the Dodgers from winning the World Series. That has been the biggest setback for Mookie Betts ever since that Giant series in 2021, where he went off and he delivered and hasn't shown up since. So the Dodgers, if they can get this form of Mookie Betts we are seeing right now in October, we're winning the World Series. No doubt freaking about it. He is on a whole nother level, and he's still only the age of 31. So he is in the peak, the thick of his prime. There is still a lot of meat left there on the bone. I never understood why people feel like we overpaid for Mookie Betts, because right now, this contract is one of the best, hands down, in baseball. Off the production they are getting out from Mookie Betts. So when they made that extension immediately when they acquired him in February of 2020, here we are over 4 years later, and every single year, Mookie Betts is absolutely living up to that contract. And so I'm excited that we still have Mookie Betts for, 8 more years or so. This guy's going to be a Hall of Famer. I think he's going to go into the Hall of Fame as a Los Angeles Dodger. The only thing that we really need to see from Mookie Betts is one, like I said, it's got to show up in the postseason. Two, we need that World Series. If we can get that 162 game regular season, or 162 games in the regular season driven World Series, it'll make fans shut up because 2020 obviously counts, but we need to prove that we can win it in a full season, 162 games. There's just no doubt about it. So we got to have that. If that can be in Mookie Betts' resume, then he's officially done it all with a lot for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And maybe he'll keep it up because he's the front runner for MVP. I mean, winning the MVP is obviously cool and all, but my ambitions is still for the Dodgers to win the World Series. And not to mention, he's been a lot faster this year. He's already got 8 stolen bases. Seemed like Mookie Betts was cutting back on the stolen bases attempts the last couple of years, kind of sold out for the power, and it looked good with 39 home runs, I think, last season. And then obviously in 2021, he was a little set back because he was having that nagging hip injury, but something's going right for Mookie Betts. He looks healthy. He looks the healthiest, I think, I've seen since 2020. We'll go with that as his best form. But 2024 Mookie Betts looks like vintage, fully healthy Mookie Betts yet again. 8 steals means he could easily get up to 25 to 30 steals if he's going at the current pace he's at. So I love the aggressiveness, and Catch the Blues wanted me to spotlight the fact that Mookie Betts isn't going to play any more second base. He's fully committed to the shortstop position, which kind of ruffles my feathers. I find it odd. Miguel Rojas is the superior defender at the shortstop position. So I don't really understand the logic other than comfortability. And they want to have Mookie Betts very familiar with the shortstop position. And obviously there is one reason why, and that's because they're still trying to get something out of Gavin Lux. And don't get me wrong, Gavin Lux is starting to hit the ball a little bit more recently. He had one multi-hit game, I believe, might have been against the Nationals or Toronto, but he had a decent road trip, all things considered, for Gavin Lux standards. That batting average is still way too low. No home runs out of him, but he does play a good second base. We just need to see more from the bat. But yeah, so that's why Mookie Betts is playing the shortstop right now. It's all for Gavin Lux, no doubt about it. I would love to see Mookie Betts at the second base position, but to no avail. This is probably something we're going to have to wait till the trade deadline when the Dodgers have to make some serious roster decisions. But for now, Mookie Betts is getting by at the shortstop position. He's average, not superior, but he's average. While you got Miguel Rojas, who is superior at the shortstop position. And at the age of 35, it appears to be a resurgence for Miguel Rojas. 286 batting average, 364 on base, 854 OPS, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, and I think he's played 20 games or so. Someone that I was down on coming into the season. Well, so far Miguel Rojas has looked pretty good, mostly coming off the bench when the opposition throws a right-handed starter, but he's platooning and he's starting every single game against lefties, and he's holding his own. Historically, Miguel Rojas has been a good hitter against left-handed pitching. Last season was a down year across the board for Rojas, but I think there were some health issues that were clearly impacting Rojas, but he's healthy this year. He looks good. He looks very motivated. And don't forget, he's kind of one of the leaders of the Dodgers clubhouse. And right now, at this point in time, I got to give Miguel Rojas my unsung hero of the award at this given point in time. I don't know if I can think of anyone else who's a bigger unsung hero for this team other than Miguel Rojas. And what's up, Harmony Davis? Good to see you. Fair question. Can't we have Mookie play right field? That appears to be a no-go. I don't think we have all the answers yet, but Mookie Betts has no interest in playing that position anymore. I don't know if it's for health reasons. He doesn't want to run around out there, or he got bored with it. But Mookie Betts is all in on being an infielder now. It was supposed to be the second base position, as we all know, Now he's all in at being the Dodgers shortstop. CB, let's see. You've brought up Adames on Twitter on a potential shortstop trade, but he's been struggling at defense, 2 errors in one game. What other shortstop would you go after? Let me pop that up here. And yes, anyone else that has questions, feel free to drop them below in the chat. We can do a Q&A as we continue to mow down this show. I've talked about him a few times. I would still like to see if Bo Bichette was out there on the market. Bichette's been pretty slow out of the gate to start this year, though. I don't know actually what's going on with Bo Bichette, because last season he looked really good. He was one of the batting leaders and was constantly putting the ball in play, but he's having a down year. I don't know if he just needs a change of scenery or what's going on. The other knock with Bichette is he's not a great defender himself, but I think we could get by with him. And for Willy Adames, defensively, I think he's good enough that we can trust him and he'll figure it out. He has a really good proven track record, and I don't know if it's the focus on the offense for Adames, because he's got 6 home runs and like a OPS above 800. He's looked really good for Milwaukee in a contract year, but the Brewers are contending right now, and we don't know if they're willing to move off of Willy Adames, even if it's kind of a win now trade for both sides. Other shortstops out there, it's tough. There really isn't anyone available that I can think of. I mean, I don't know if he can play shortstop, but the Angels have Luis Rengifo, a guy that the Dodgers have tried to trade for in the past. And I mean, let's go full circle here. Andy Pajes was in that trade for Luis Rengifo, and the asshole that Artie Moreno is said, "No, I'm good, bro." And that had Jock Peterson in that trade. That had Ross Stripling in that trade, and Artie said, "Nope, want to keep Luis Rengifo." So Artie's the idiot, no doubt about it. Yeah, it's tough. I don't really know what other shortstops are currently available. I'd really have to go through. We got Harmony throwing out Javier Baez, but Javi Baez has a terrible contract, and he's not a good hitter anymore. So there's really no reason for the Dodgers to go after Javi Baez, because he's cooked. Until he proves otherwise, he's not a good baseball player anymore. I don't know what's people's fascination with Mason Miller, but Trey B asking me, how much would you give up for Mason Miller? Hypothetically, for real, do we need to look for a bullpen arm or two? Yeah, I mean, the Dodgers absolutely need to add some bullpen depth. I mean, we've got Gus Farland in the bullpen. He's been really inconsistent. We've got Nabil Chrismat in the bullpen. Can't really trust him. Michael Grove is still in the bullpen. One day he looks good. The next day he's getting shelled. There's a bunch of just scrubs in the Dodgers bullpen right now. They're going to have to make a trade. In terms of Mason Miller, this guy is absolutely electric. He's throwing like 103 out of the pen. He's supposed to be a starting pitcher for the Athletics. But the reason he's coming out of the bullpen is because he dealt with some UCL injuries last season. And this is the only way that the Oakland Athletics can get him pitching for them right now. It would cost a lot. And honestly, I don't think it's worth the risk. I think the way he's throwing the ball is just too hard. I know that's a cop-out answer, but I have some concerns. If he was having elbow issues last season, there's no reason for me to not believe they're going to pop up again this year. I mean, you look at other pitchers around the league, that's exactly what is happening. Shane Bieber had elbow issues last year. Tommy John, that's one example. And I mean, on top of that, Dustin May is going to come back for the Dodgers. They think he could come back this season. And personally, if I was in charge, Dustin May needs to be a reliever. Maybe in the long term, they can work it out and have him start games for the Dodgers again. But for the benefit of the team in the short term to win right now, if Dustin May were to come back this season, it needs to be as a reliever. And I think the timetable, like best case scenario for Dustin May would to be returning around August if I had to guess, but I'm not going to get my hopes up. Wouldn't be shocked if Dustin May doesn't return at all, but he is in the cards. We got Blake Trinan coming back. Brusdar Graterol should return at some point. Emmett Sheehan, who we haven't seen this season, there's hope that he's going to make a return for the Dodgers. River Ryan, I have to think will be pitching for the Dodgers at some point this season if he looks right. So there are still a lot of options. And if there's one thing that I know about Andrew Friedman is he doesn't like to trade top prospects for a reliever. We got burned with the Yordan Alvarez trade, obviously. We'll never understand that move. And even though people are complaining about the O'Neal Cruz for Tony Watson trade, you look at the history of that right now, Dodgers are winning that trade because O'Neal Cruz has not lived up to the hype at all. I'm sorry. What has he done in his career so far? I haven't seen anything from O'Neal Cruz. Now, I will say I would have loved to see what he looked like for the Dodgers because he'd certainly be an upgrade over Gavin Lux. But for now, I'm not pissed about the trade because O'Neal Cruz has not proven anything. Jose Luis, Mookie Betts is still one of the best athletes in the league. He is your shortstop. Trust the Dodgers to buy talent when they need it. They are not your father's Dodgers. Yeah, I mean, based off the circumstances right now, we just have to accept that Mookie Betts is the shortstop. We'll see what happens as we get closer to the trade deadline. We will find out if there are more guys that come available. But like other people are mentioning in the chat, Miguel Rojas is there. And if he continues to swing a good stick, then you've got to have him in the Dodgers lineup on a more regular basis. He's on your roster, so you might as well use him. I'm dropping below in the chat our Discord channel. Feel free to join. We're close to 100 members. It's a fun time, especially during the live games. We've got a ton of people interacting. People talk about Mason Miller in there as well, funny enough. So let's switch subjects now and kick it into a higher gear on the pitching side of things. What are your guys' thoughts on Tyler Glasnow and Yoshinobu Yamamoto? These were the Dodgers' two big additions in the offseason. One of the focal points was to bulk up and address this starting pitching lack of depth that we had to deal with all year long last season. So Andrew Friedman lived up to his promise, and he added some big arms. You've got Tyler Glasnow and Yamamoto at the top of your rotation, and try to find me a better 1-2 punch in Major League Baseball right now, because I guarantee you're not going to have an easy time. Tyler Glasnow and Yamamoto are probably in the top five each in the Cy Young race right now. And I'm convinced Tyler Glasnow should probably be the front runner for the National League Cy Young. How good has he been? Well, he's got a 2.72 ERA. He's pitched 43 innings already for the Dodgers. He's got 53 strikeouts. Glasnow's curveball has just been crushing the opposition's dreams. The opposition's hitting a measly 128 against that curveball that Tyler Glasnow lives off of. He makes his 25 million plus a year with this curveball. No one can really touch it. He's yet to give up a home run this season throwing that curveball. Tyler Glasnow is without a doubt the ace or a co-ace of the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's lived up to the hype, and I could not ask for more from Glasnow right now. I mean, he dominated the Blue Jays. I think he struck out 9 Blue Jays in 7 innings. He went 8 innings his outing before, and no Dodgers pitcher ever goes 8 innings anymore. And meanwhile, here we got Glasnow, who has a very, very, very bad history with injuries. So the Dodgers need to get creative, I think, at some point to keep those innings at a reasonable pace so that he's not out of gas as we get near the postseason. But yeah, he did cramp up, but he's fine. No need to be concerned about Glasnow right now. And then you've got the $325 million pitcher in Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who's currently got a campaign going of a 3-1 record, a 291 earned run average. He's thrown 34 innings for the Dodgers, 42 strikeouts. And here's my favorite stat. If you throw out that Korea game, his 6 starts since that Mickey Mouse Korea game where his groove got thrown off because of the whole K-pop dancing and the delay to his start. He had to sit around for like an hour or something. Yoshinobu Yamamoto has a 164 ERA over his 6 real starts. That is all you need to know about how good Yamamoto has been for the Dodgers. He's got a 15-inning scoreless streak going. He kept the Diamondbacks in check. He dominated the Washington Nationals. He's in a groove. And I just talked about how dominant Glasnow's curveball is. Yamamoto's splitter right now is holding his opponents to an 0.98 batting average. That is absolutely disgusting. The fact that opponents are only hitting 0.98 against his splitter. I mean, even Chris Taylor almost has a batting average that high. But that just kind of shows you, if you look at how bad Chris Taylor's been, and then I throw you out that splitter stat, nobody can touch the splitter. The thing with Yamamoto is he's not always able to locate it in the zone, but when he does locate it in the zone, he's inducing a ton of soft contact. No one's been able to really get a hold of that for any power whatsoever. With every start, I feel like Yamamoto is getting better command of his pitches as well. He's able to throw in that curveball oftentimes for strikes. He can be behind in the count. He'll still throw the curveball and get a strike. And then he's mixing in the slider, which is a pretty good pitch that he throws. He just doesn't throw it a whole lot so far this season. I don't know if it's a grip issue or he's just currently happy with the game plan they have in store. But yeah, Yamamoto is absolutely dealing for the Dodgers. You've got some people out there, like some Padres fans, among other various idiots who were ready to call this Yamamoto contract a bust for the Dodgers. Certain people whose names I won't drop, they claimed Yamamoto is going to struggle this season because he's a rookie. I mean, to me, it's honestly bullshit that guys like Imanaga and Yamamoto fall in the rookie category because they're experienced pitchers. And look at Jackson Holiday. He struggled out of the gate, got optioned down. That's a rookie. Andy Pages and Yamamoto are nowhere even near each other in terms of professional experience. Pages is a rookie, and I would rather him win the Rookie of the Year award over Yamamoto because there is a rule that if you're an international guy coming over to the U.S. to play Major League Baseball, they implemented the rule, I think, last season. You don't get a bonus reward draft pick for international guys winning Rookie of the Year. If Pages were to win Rookie of the Year, I think the Dodgers then would be eligible for that draft pick. I don't know all the logistics of the rules, but it's something along those lines. So I'm kind of rooting for Pages to win Rookie of the Year. David Tran. Anyone getting tired of the Yamamoto and Imanaga comparisons? I hate when Cubs fans keep saying bad things about Yamamoto. I mean, the comparisons are perfectly fair because they came over the same year, even though Imanaga's 30 and Yamamoto's 25. But yeah, it's completely uncalled for Cubs fans to bash Yamamoto. It's like they've got their quote unquote ace over there in Imanaga, and then we've got our guy in Yamamoto. So why can't we just accept that they both might be really good pitchers? So that's Cubs fans for you. They can be a little wild sometimes. Feel free to drop some questions below. I'm open to answering anything here on the Incline. Again, it's just a solo show, so I'm having fun. I might as well do our sponsor real quick. So this podcast, in case you didn't know, is brought to you by TickPick. They've been sponsoring us for, I think, a couple years now. What they do is they are the place to go to buy your tickets. The NBA playoffs is still happening, so if you want to go catch a game last second, Lakers lost. I think the LA Kings lost, so you can't get their tickets on TickPick. But your Dodgers are playing baseball right now, and they're about to host the Atlanta Braves. So I'm about to dive into that series. There are no service fees at checkout, so all you got to do is download the TickPick app or follow them on social media, and you can get some great deals to see your Los Angeles Dodgers. And we've got the Ohtani bobblehead night coming up. So there's another opportunity to get your Dodgers tickets over on the TickPick app. All right, we got some questions coming in, but before I do that, we kind of talked about it to kick off the show, but Walker Buehler is finally coming back for the Los Angeles Dodgers. This has been a long time coming. I mean, he's been out for almost 2 years. He didn't pitch at all in spring training because he's obviously coming back from the Tommy John surgery. The Dodgers want to also slow it down, limit his innings. The push is to have him sharp for October. So he missed all of April. Perfectly fine with that. But with Walker Buehler right now, he had a 4.15 ERA across his minor rehab starts. He was able to throw 21 and 2/3 innings, allow 26 hits, 21 strikeouts. So not the best of numbers for Walker Buehler, but I'm not having the highest expectations for Buehler right now. I'm not expecting him to come back for the Dodgers and immediately look like the Walker Buehler pre-Tommy John surgery, second Tommy John surgery for that matter. I mean, we have to be realists here. He had 2 Tommy John surgeries. We had to give him a chance, and I would not put a lot of pressure on him right now. Let him get comfortable. Let's give him at least a couple months to figure this out. And whatever happens, happens. It's a contract year for Walker Buehler. It might be to the Dodgers' benefit for him to kind of have a mediocre regular season so that they can re-sign him on the cheap side, because I would love to have Walker Buehler continue to play for the Los Angeles Dodgers. I mean, it would be great if they can win a World Series with Buehler pitching like a Cy Young, which seems kind of the odds stacked against that. But if let's just say Buehler looks like his 2021 self, Cy Young-like finalist, he's going to have a big contract, and I don't know if the Dodgers are willing to pay him that salary. So let's be patient with Buehler. We're going to find out on Monday when he faces the Miami Marlins. That's a really good warm-up game because the Marlins are trash. So it's a good opportunity for Walker Buehler to get comfortable pitching at the major league level again. So I'm excited because right now the goal for the Dodgers this October is to have a rotation that looks something like this. It's going to be Glasnow, could be Yamamoto. Those are your game 1 and game 2 starters. No doubt about it. You're kind of crazy if you think otherwise. Those guys have been pitching their asses off, and they are definitely the Dodgers' co-aces right now. Now, games 3 and 4, it's going to be coming down to a couple factors. Right now, Bobby Miller's on the IL. In his first start of the year against the Cardinals, 6 shutout innings, 11 strikeouts. He looked like a madman. Then he struggled the next 2 starts and now is on the injured list. Walker Buehler, we don't know what we're going to see yet. It's a wait and see. But Walker Buehler and Bobby Miller should round out the Dodgers 4. So you got those Yamamoto, Glasnow games 1 and 2. Then you decide between Buehler and Miller for games 3 and 4. All I'm asking right now out of Walker Buehler, get by the regular season, a 4 ERA. I'll call that a W. I mean, he's been out for 2 years. If he can have an ERA in the low 4s or high 3s, that's a success. And if he can just be like a John Lackey in the postseason, then we're gaming here, because that's what John Lackey was near the end of his career. He was a pedestrian, middle of the rotation guy. And then come October, he turns it on. He doesn't have to be the game 1 starter, but he puts teams away when they're down in the count. So those are your 4. I'm not forgetting about Clayton Kershaw. The problem with Clayton Kershaw is that we need to see him healthy. If Clayton Kershaw is beginning to resume throwing, but he's coming off the shoulder surgery. And the other 4 guys have a much better shot of starting for the Dodgers in the postseason. There are just way too many question marks with Clayton Kershaw. So once he's healthy and activated, if he comes back this season, then we can start to factor in Clayton Kershaw in the postseason starting rotation mix. So I think I have it right now. CB, we've got the Clover tax. Well, that's funny. Clover's chilling over there sleeping. I would love to get him on camera. Trey B, what do you think about Gavin Stone? So That kind of segues into the next topic, anyways. The Dodgers and the Atlanta Braves, they've got a series coming up at Dodger Stadium. Always really fun to see these two teams go at it. We haven't seen them actually battle it out in the postseason since 2021 because both teams, despite having top seeds, continue to choke in the postseason. First round exits, but I like Gavin Stone. He looked great in his most recent outing against the Toronto Blue Jays. He was able to go 7 innings and have just one run given up. I think he only had 2 strikeouts, but regardless, he was efficient. He's kind of been the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde for the Dodgers. One outing, he'll look completely sharp and get the job done. And then the next outing, he'll be a little erratic and kind of lose command of his pitches. But given what he looked like last season, where he was just a gas can and constantly lighting up, I think Gavin Stone's been pretty good for the Dodgers so far this season. They're obviously going to be growing pains with the fact that he's still basically a rookie. His ERA is in the mid fours right now. I think his FIP suggests that he's actually a better pitcher than what his current ERA is. He's been a little unlucky. But yeah, he's the first guy going up against the Atlanta Braves. He's facing Charlie Morton. This is going to be a great test for Gavin Stone. I think up to this point in his career, this will be the biggest start in Gavin Stone's life. But for now, you keep him in the rotation. When Bobby Miller is ready to be activated, the Dodgers have two choices. They could either send down Stone, or they should do the more obvious thing, which is have a 6-man rotation. But at the same time, the Dodgers need to be smart here. Gavin Stone hasn't thrown a ton of innings like he's going to this year. So I say with all the guys, we got to just find ways to strategize and keep their innings down because still early May and we have a long season to go. This is a marathon. So I'm not going to even doubt it. I think the Dodgers will find ways to continue to keep these guys' innings a little low. But for now, let it ride with Gavin Stone. Harmony, who do you want to see the Dodgers play in the World Series? Before the season began, I wanted the Dodgers to face the Astros. That was my pick. And maybe that's all it took was to curse the Astros, who have been pretty bad so far this season. Because in the past, I've been a big Astros hater and continued to undermine them. And then they would go far in the postseason. And so this year I finally said, Astros are going to make it to the World Series, and now they suck. So maybe I cursed them. So yeah, that's my answer. I want the rematch. I think this would be an awesome opportunity finally for the Dodgers. You've got Shohei Ohtani. Let's not forget, he's got some bad blood with the Astros just on the pure merit that they were in the same division for all those years. And he had to watch the Astros succeed while he was on the other end of the dugout with the shitty Angels, always in 3rd or 4th or 5th place. So that'd be some nice revenge for Ohtani himself. And then it would be kind of funny if the Dodgers face the Astros because Ben Verlander loves Shohei Ohtani, but Justin Verlander is his brother. So like, what would he do? He'd obviously have to root for the Astros because of the family principle. But I bet deep down he would be rooting for Shohei Ohtani every single time. So there are some narratives here. And I would have some funny videos in the cards as well. So yeah, I still want that Dodgers Astros World Series. Okay, well I think that covers the questions for now. But if you guys have other fun stuff, go ahead and drop them in the chat. So yeah, the Dodgers face the Atlanta Braves. Braves are a first place team. Dodgers are a first place team. Charlie Morton, who's up there in age, will face Gavin Stone. Sometimes the Dodgers obliterate Charlie Morton. Other times he does well against them. Game 2, Bryce Elder, who I think's only made one start for the Braves this season. He's facing Tyler Glasnow. So we've got one of our aces on the mound. He'll get the Atlanta Braves. And then the last game, Max Fried, who a lot of Dodgers fans are obsessed with, having this guy come over to the Dodgers next season. I'm good on that. I don't want Max Fried in a Dodgers uniform. And he's going to face James Paxton. That will be an interesting game because James Paxton has had a lot of issues with the command. He's walking a ton of batters, but for the most part, he seems to get out of it. He's also not striking out as many guys as I'd like to see. But as a number 5 starter, I can live with James Paxton. We don't need him to be a front of the line rotation guy. We just need him to go 5 innings every time out. If James Paxton could go 5 innings, then I'll take that as a number 5. Because if you look around the rest of Major League Baseball, there are a lot of crappy number 5s out there. I mean, there are some true garbage gas cans out there who have 6 ERAs, they have 7 ERAs. And so I know that the FIP suggests that Paxton hasn't been good because it's in the low 6s, but the ERA is still 3.50. This is a good test for James Paxton. The Atlanta Braves, let's look at their lineup real quick, then we'll get to the final questions from you guys. Marcell Ozuna, I hate this guy because he's a piece of shit, but without a doubt, he's actually been their best hitter so far. He's got an OPS over 1,000. He's got 9 home runs. He's got 30-something RBIs. He was a douche to Will Smith, I think, last year, intentionally hitting him in the helmet with his bat. We know what he did off the field, and somehow he got away with it. And Braves fans, being the hypocrites that they are, welcomed him back with cuddly, warm arms. But here we are. He's been kind of a thorn against the Dodgers. He tends to step up against us, I've noticed. And then, of course, Dodgers legend Travis d'Arnaud. Somehow this guy's randomly having a good year. He's got 5 home runs. Maybe he's the one that got away. I know that Trojan Chuck wanted me to touch upon the rebirth of Austin Barnes. I don't think that's sustainable, but right now Austin Barnes does have 100 WRC plus. So he's basically league average. So he's been serviceable, which is something you haven't seen out of Austin Barnes in quite some time. And I think I'm noticing something that he seems to look like he's Yamamoto's personal catcher. I don't know if that's going to hold up long term, but I feel like every time Yamamoto starts, Austin Barnes starts. But yeah, the Atlanta Braves, they got Michael Harris, another good hitter for them. He's hitting 294, but they're stars. They're really struggling. I mean, Matt Olson's hitting 206 after he led the National League in home runs. He's off to a really slow start. The MVP, Ronald Acuna Jr., I don't know what happened to him. He's down there with Corbin Carroll in terms of just big regression right now. He's hitting 250 with 1 home run. That's Ronald Acuna Jr. right now. And then Austin Riley's got a 700 OPS. So the big sluggers, the big hitters for the Atlanta Braves, they're slow so far in terms of the production. And I don't know if that's just because they're playing bad or because, kind of like the Dodgers the last couple years, they crush it in the regular season and then they're completely out of gas come October. I don't know if it's a bit of strategizing and they're trying something else, but that's just the stats I can go off of. So yes, big series. The Dodgers won't get swept. I know that. I think they're going to win. They're going to win game 2. They're going to beat Bryce Elder. The Gavin Stone start, I could see them losing that one. And then I think Max Fried versus James Paxton is actually going to be a slugfest. I'll take the Dodgers in an 8-7 victory. So I'll say the Dodgers take 2 of 3. So this is your last chance to get your final questions in there. We're going to close this show out at 7:30. So we've got a few minutes left. If you haven't hit that like button, please do so. And if you aren't a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button as well. Thoughts on the Julio Urias verdict? Do you ever see him coming back to the league? It's a tough question. My thoughts are he probably got off the hook a little easy. He won't ever be a Dodger again. We're probably not even going to acknowledge his existence. I don't know if he'll make it back to league. Isn't there something visa-wise where he's basically passively deported? I'm not too sure. If Trevor Bauer didn't get a chance, I don't know if Urias is going to get a chance. I kind of think both those guys, their shots at Major League Baseball is over. Tech Guy 40, why they send Landon Knack down. He was doing well. Again, touched on it kind of earlier in the episode here. But Landon Knack, This was always going to be the path for him. Walker Buehler is coming back, so that's one. That's why they sent him down, because Walker Buehler is taking his spot in the rotation. And we could do a poll, but who would you rather start a game for the Dodgers right now? Would you rather have Landon Knack or Walker Buehler? I'm going to guess that 95% of you are going to say you'd rather have Walker Buehler starting for the Dodgers right now. And the other 5% saying you'd rather have Landon Knack starting for the Dodgers. Then you're a little insane, but I love you. And the other reason they sent him down is because, like I was saying earlier, there's still like 4 or 5 days until Buehler is even able to start. So why are we having Knack, who just pitched as well, sitting around when he can't come out of the pen? This Dodgers bullpen is basically as thin as Paris Hilton right now, where they need arms. So they added a guy in JP Feyereisen, and in his first appearance, he looked good since getting recalled. He's able to go a couple innings, I believe, nearly a couple innings. And the Dodgers desperately need some fresh arms. So it's not too complicated. That's why they did it. Looks like we got no more final questions here. So let me run into my final thoughts. So the Dodgers, they got this series against the Braves. Then they got the series against the Miami Marlins. What I want to see the Dodgers clean up is exactly what Noisy Ninja 91 is going to ask. This is actually my final thoughts. So what are your feelings on the Dodgers platooning so much? I don't like it. I don't get why Max Muncy is not in the lineup more against lefties. Historically, he's been pretty solid against left-handed pitching. I get that they want to get Kike Hernandez in there, but we're getting to the point where Chris Taylor is basically useless, and I don't need Chris Taylor in the lineup over Max Muncy. Max Muncy should be in the lineup every day except for those days when he needs off days. Like, this is just getting out of hand. This is like 2018 all over again, where the Dodgers just went a little too crazy with these platoons, and then Max Muncy didn't start in playoff games against lefties because of these platoons. I will be absolutely triggered, I think, if we have a playoff game and Max Muncy is on the bench against a left-handed starter and Chris Taylor is in the lineup. Like, that would just be unacceptable. Like, that is riot worthy. Unless Chris Taylor goes on a crazy hot streak, then throw out that take. But right now, there's no reason except for rest for Chris Taylor to be in the lineup over Max Muncy. And then James Outman, I feel like I haven't seen him in weeks. He barely plays either too, because they just seem to be facing a ton of lefties. The stats say that James Outman wasn't a great power hitter against lefties. But batting average wise, he was decent. So again, another guy, they're just platooning like crazy. And then Gavin Lux, he deserves it. He can't hit lefties at all. So that's a must platoon. Plus, Miguel Rojas is a better player than him at this point. Tech Guy 40, the question is still the playoffs. Can they get good? Can they get against good pitchers? They won't be facing bad pitchers like the regular season. That's exactly my motto. So thank you, Tech Guy 40. Dodgers can beat up on bad pitchers all they want, but at the end of the day, in the postseason, they're mostly going to only face good starting pitching. So if they're not getting it done in the regular season against the good starters, then what makes people think they're going to get it done in the postseason against these good starters? It gets a lot different when you all of a sudden go from facing scrubs like Henry of the Diamondbacks, and I mean, Bassett was awful. Those are guys the Dodgers won't be seeing in the postseason. God, was that Jake Irvin? Another example. They destroyed him. They got revenge on him. These are the scrubs they're not going to see in the postseason. In the postseason, who are they going to see? Well, if they face the Padres, they're going to see Yu Darvish, Joe Musgrove. If they face the Diamondbacks, they're going to see Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, and Jordan Montgomery. If they face the Atlanta Braves, they see Max Fried, Chris Sale to go down the line, Charlie Morton. So we'll see what happens. We still got a leash. But yeah, moral of the story, Dodgers got to find the right pieces. They got to start the right guys in the postseason. So that's going to conclude this week's episode of the Incline Dodgers podcast. I want to thank everyone that was watching along. Really appreciate you all commenting in the chat as well. Your Los Angeles Dodgers start a new homestand. And like CB said, don't forget to like the video. we're going to do the giveaway starting next week, I think. Thought I would do it today, but we'll wait till Walker Buehler comes back. That's kind of the hint at what this giveaway is, in case you didn't know. And if you're listening on the audio feed, hit that subscribe button, leave a 5-star review. Thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your week. Go Dodgers.